Regen Ag meeting. Amazing speakers, Dr. Christine Jones, Terry Koska, who's the guru of carbon farming, and everyone's going to go out here at Danthonia and see the amazing results of 10 years of work. And there's 180 people, which is such a testament to our Regen Ag. And we're starting, our movement is tonight, so it's very exciting. Yeah.
What's happening tonight?
Well, we've got this campfire event, and you know, all good conversations have to happen around a campfire. There's no other place for it. So we are basically going to start the conversation on how can we together inspire and create a national regenerative ag movement across Australia. So yeah, that's what we're going to do tonight. So be there.
This is like a movement right now. And we're going on this amazing tour, and there's literally 100 plus amazing, 180 like leading agricultural regen ag specialists and experts here today, all gathered. This is a fundamental event. It's never happened before. It probably hasn't happened in 200 years, and that would mean it's never happened in Australia because I'm older than that. And it's a really big event. So we're here, and even though it's raining on us, which is, you know, amazing, we can't complain because, you know, we're in a drought, so rain's like yay, but we're all wet and sitting in the back of the ute. I'll show you what this looks like. we're pulling up to with everyone else for a tour of this amazing area, which has been regenerated in so many different ways. A living, breathing example of what a farm looks like when it is in drought and doesn't have to be in drought because it's actually implemented the right solutions. So Australia, here we are, an amazing agricultural meet, and behind me are some of your leading experts in the world, all ready to bring solutions, the solutions of the drought to you.
Our story is that we bought this place in 1999, and at the time it was mixed cropping and livestock, and it was pretty desolate. And we did what our neighbors did, and we were unsuccessful in making a living and realized something was wrong. And then over time, and with the help of probably many of you who are here today, we slowly learned about, what good land management is. And one of the main tools that we've utilized is holistic grazing management, or planned grazing. And so the property, initially, I started with a trial of about 100 hectares, which we ran for 5 years. And we had a dry summer, and during that summer, those paddocks produced twice the feed that any of the other paddocks did on the property. And at that point, the case was proven, and we rolled out, subdividing our paddocks across the whole property. And we were greatly helped in 2007 by, at the time, the CMA, which was giving out money for fencing to land type, for water points, for tree belts, for putting cultivations to pasture. So we did all of those things, and that was very, very beneficial for us. But in this valley, one thing we focused on is hydrology. And so, as Christine alluded to this morning, what we really want is our soil to hold water. And the more water, the better. And that the rain that does fall down, whether it's a lot or a little, that we can utilize it to the greatest extent possible. So there's a couple things that have worked very well for us, and obviously they're tied to the topography of the land. But if you can imagine, when we got the place, water would come down off the ridges, run down through the central gully and out onto the creek. And what we did, following some keyline principles and some advice from Peter Andrews, others, is we took that water that comes down off the hills, and we built a level swale just below the trees where I'm pointing, and then it comes around and comes right across to the west, and it goes all the way down to just by that hay shed a few hundred meters to our north. And so that when it rains, the water will fill that swale, and then at key intervals there's wide spills, so that the water then spills across the landscape and hydrates it. And very interesting, this year, maybe some of you have noticed this on your properties, but the springs actually opened up during the very dry period, and the swale actually filled up with no rain. And we've actually measured below the swale an increase in about 1,000 kilos of dry matter per hectare per year since we've installed that, and it's just improving year on year. And then down through down through the actual flow lines that were there historically, we have at different points we've built weirs, right? So the water is held like here, 100 meters down, another one, and right down through. And those areas are kept free of livestock and are also just an area where the water is like a sponge and it can go out through the landscape. And that's also proven to be really helpful. But I think, and I'll show you some slides a bit later when we get back up, but for me, the important thing to learn has been that what we're doing here is growing grass. We're not growing livestock. Livestock are a tool to achieve more grass growth. And why grass growth? Because of photosynthesis, which Christine told us about this morning. We've got to maximize photosynthesis all through the year, and so that those roots don't prune, so they keep growing, and and then there are tools that help us achieve that, and that's where holistic grazing management comes in. You have a tool where you can plan far in advance. You know what feed is available to you, and you can adjust your livestock on the property so that you'll always have feed in front of them. You don't need to feed them hay or other supplements. So those are some of the things that we've found really important. And in addition to that, the profitability obviously then goes up. And one thing I want to point out is that none of these pastures